Okay, Simplicity, I see what you did there because Simplicity patterns just dropped and a few of these patterns had me actually pause. So today we're going to go ahead and talk about the Simplicity Spring 2026 patterns that just dropped, and we're going to decide if these patterns are worth sewing or if these patterns are just pattern fillers, okay? But y'all know what it is. If you guys are new here, hello, ciao, guten tag, aloha, hola, konnichiwa, wagwan, sabanani, salon, bonjour, tarde. If you guys are returning, y'all know who I am. I'm Rochelle from Rochelle.Handmade.Designs. And if you are returning, y'all know what to do. Go get a quick snack, something to drink, because y'all know what we do on these type of videos. Because y'all know I'm your instruction decoder and your pattern enabler. And on these type of videos where we do the pattern drop, or I do the pattern drop, I'm going to share with you guys the ready to wear from the pattern. And I'm going to share with you guys the patterns that are similar to the patterns that just dropped. So you may want your notebook to write down what you have in your stash that are similar and which ones you think that you want to potentially pick up and purchase. Now, I'm going to share with you guys which ones that I will be picking up. And in this drop, it ranged from $32.29 to $32.64. Now, what I will be sharing with you guys is apparel fabric, but there are some bag patterns. I will be sharing with you guys the sack pattern as well as the JMC patterns, which would be the Jessica McClintock, I think is what it's called. Bear with me because I'm not looking at the Simplicity website right now, but I'll be sharing those with you guys. Now, what I will not be sharing would be kids patterns or costume patterns. And I think there was a couple of home decor patterns as well. I will not be sharing those patterns with you, but there are, I believe, 2 bag patterns. I'm only going to probably share one with you guys or 2 with you guys. I'll share the vintage ones with you guys as well as the sack and the JMC patterns with you guys as well. So overall, I'm going to be sharing 24 patterns with you guys. Once again, the range is $32.29 to $32.64. I'm going to share 24 of those with you guys today. All right. Now, before we get started, let me tell you, as of the recording of this video, today is March the 11th, 2026. There's not a sale that I could put up for you guys right now. All right. So just stay tuned for the Simplicity website. If there's a sale that's going on, make sure you go back to the website later on this week and see if there's a sale going on. But as of the recording of this video today, March 11th, there's not a sale going on right now. All right. Now, one thing I'm going to do is take you guys over to the computer and put it up in big form unlike you like it, right? So you guys could see all the patterns in its form and share the ready to wear and the patterns that are comparison patterns with you guys like I always do. I always want to thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Make sure you hype up this video, share it with a friend, of course. Give me some kudos. Drop a comment in the comment section below and let me know which ones you plan on picking up and if we decide to pick up the same thing, okay? Now, without further ado, to keep this video short, sweet, and to the point, give you all the deets in the news that you can use on this video, let's go ahead and go to the computer so I can share the patterns with you, ready to wear, and the comparison patterns, all right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get after it. Let's go. All right, you guys, so let's go ahead and talk about the new Simplicity Spring 2026 patterns that just dropped today. As of the recording of this video, it's March the 11th, 2026. And let's first start off with the sales. Now, I just told you that the sale, there's no sale going on outside of the clearance sale that is $4. As you could see, you could go to simplicity.com, use some clearance patterns for $4. One thing I want to mention is they took PDF patterns off the clearance sale, so they're all paper patterns. So just go to simplicity.com, click on clearance, and you could see the sale that's currently going on simplicity.com. Now, I also want to let you guys know that they also decided to put up Jessica McClintock patterns, so you will see that in this collection. But let's go ahead and dive into Simplicity Spring 2026 patterns for this ride. Once again, the patterns range from 32.29 to 32.64, and I'm just going to take you on the ride for 24 patterns. All right, let's go ahead and get into the first one. First one is 32.29. This is a Mrs. and Women's midi dress in 2 lengths. It is an unlined dress, close fitting through the waist with a corset inspired midriff, covered by the optional Russian cummerbund, and a full skirt with side seam pockets. It features a below the elbow length dolman sleeves with hemband. It also has a round neckline finish with bias band and invisible back zipper. Now, what you see in the photo is cotton shirting in an orange. Some of the fabric suggestions would be your broadcloth, chambray, cotton, poplin, just to name a few there. You're going to need some interfacing, lightweight shirting. You will need some interfacing. They also mentioned some lining, but I feel like if you're using broadcloth, are you going to use some broadcloth lining? I'm just saying, to each its own. This is an average to sew pattern. I actually like this pattern, but I do feel like this is a lot of fabric going on, just to be 100% honest. I think it's cute. I like what the model is wearing, just so you know that. I do like this orange. I think this is very pretty for spring. But I know for me, I'm going to skip this pattern, just so you know. I actually like how they styled the model, just to be honest. There. I do like this floral one that they have right here. I like this for sure, but I'm gonna be honest. I know I'm not gonna wear it anywhere, so I'm gonna like skip on that for sure. But let's look at the notion from the back of the pattern envelope. In terms of the notion, you're gonna need, for all views, one 24-inch invisible zipper and a hook and eye closure for this one. Now, let's talk about the format. All of the format's going to be PDF and paper pattern. I will just say that up front. But in terms of the sizing for the envelope, it's 2 pattern envelopes, 10 to 20 and 20W to 30W for this pattern envelope. All right. Now, this one does have in ready to wear. This is the Carolina Herrera pattern, or I should say ready to wear. And it's a cotton blend cummerbund waist midi dress. Now, from Saks Fifth Avenue, it is original price is $2,990. If you are on Klarna or Shop Pay, or I don't know what the other one is called, you can make $56 per month payment of this Marigold fabulous dress. They still have some sizes available. If you're a size 2, there's one left there. A size 6 is available as well. Free shipping on orders over $300, so you just use the code free ship. But since we sew, you already know what we're going to do. Just go ahead and get that pattern when it's on sale and sew you one for the low. I mean, you could save over, I'm going to say you could sew it for less than $100 and say you over $2,000. Okay. But it's currently on sale for $896.99. In my eyes, that's a little too much. You can sew this dress together for every bit of less than $40. Okay. And you can sew this in, like it says, cotton blend. So if you use some nice orange fabric or marigold gold fabric, you could still sew it for the low. I'm going to say about $25. If you sew this dress, let me know and let me know the price that you paid for it. All right. You're welcome. All right. So this also reminds me of McCall's 8477, not because it's in orange, you guys. It's only because the dolman sleeve, it reminds me of this pattern for the dolman sleeve. Now, hear me out. This is a shirt dress. I know it's not a cummerbund waist waistland dress or anything, but this is a shirt dress, whereas the other one was a midi dress in 2 lengths, but this one is a shirt dress. This one right here, the 8477, is a shirt dress. It reminds me of this pattern. I'm going to say if you sew the other one, 32.29, go ahead and sew this one. You got 2 dresses for spring. You're welcome. All right. But let's go ahead and get into the next pattern, which of course is a Mimi G pattern. This is 32.30. All right. This is a Mrs. Tent dress in 2 lengths by the one and only, the mother of sewing, Mimi G herself. You guys know what format we already talking about, all right? Now, in terms of sizing, it's one pattern envelope, extra small to extra, extra large. Now, Mimi G, you guys already know when you see the QR code, you already know that it's going to be a sew along for it. All right. So this is an easy to sew pattern. Now, I like both views. I like view A and I like view B. Now, I would be interested in view B because this just looked like something you would wear at the beach, okay? On vacation, throw it on and call it a day, okay? But this is a cheek tent style sleeveless dress. It features a crew neckline and lowered arm holes designed for effortless versatility. This dress can be made to fall at the knees or in a flowy maxi length as well. Some of the fabric options would be your chemise, your cotton blends, your crepes, your double georgettes, just to name a few. The list goes on. One thing I will mention is what Mimi used is a wash linen for the photos that you see here on simplicity.com. All right. And I like what she did. She actually did the long view to wear with tennis shoes, and then she did the shorter view to wear with some heels. But let's go ahead and look at the notions. So in terms of the notions, the only thing you're going to need is one 22-inch invisible zipper. That's it. All right. So it's just basically a tent dress. Now, this dress does remind me of a ready to wear, I must say so, by Linen Fox. It is the Alba linen dress. The only difference is this one does not have a zipper in the back. It is in British pounds, or I should just say pounds, period. $112 for this one. You can see it in olive. They have it in black. They have it in like a chocolate brown. And then they also have it in a milky white. So you can make it in different colors, just so you know. This is ready to wear. And then, of course, it also reminds me of Vikisews pattern, the Ramiah dress. For this one, and it does have a zipper in the back. I actually have this pattern. This is suitable for beginners. Here it has a bust dart for this one, which I don't think Mimi's pattern has a bust dart. There, I'll go back to it and show you guys that one. But this reminds me of the Ramiah dress by Vikisews. There, just to show you some of the pictures for this dress right here. So, and it has pockets. One thing about it is add those pockets if, you know, you don't see it. Add some pockets, give it a little details there. Going back to Mimi's pattern, she has pockets on the side, as you can see from the line art there. All right. So I will possibly, I'm on the fence on this one because I do have a pattern that's very similar to this one, but I may consider picking up this pattern. 3230 is this pattern number. Once again, it's Mimi G 3230. Moving over to the next one is 3231. 3231 is the Mrs. Drop waist dress in 2 lengths. We already know the format. In terms of the sizing, it's 2 pattern envelopes, 6 to 14 and 14 to 22. Now, this is a drop waist dress, which features a dramatic collar stuffed with netting. So it's a close fitting bodice and full gathered skirt, fluffed with netting for a volume around that neck area. Invisible back zipper includes options for short or a full length skirt, plus a contrast collar and a bow variation for added styling. All right. Now, in the photos, they use a silk and a cotton fabric. Some of the fabric suggestions will be your satin, your organza, shantung, just to name a few there. Make sure you use some netting for that stiffness, and you will need some lining fabric, interfacing as well. In terms of the skill level, average to sew, this is an average to sew pattern as well. Now for me, I'm going to skip this pattern. I will say but I do like view B, as in boy, for this one, what the model is wearing. I actually like that, but I know me, I'm not going to wear it anywhere. This would actually be good for a frock tail. For those of you who's going to, you know, the frock tails that's coming up, you know, next month, the month after. I mean, we are in frock tail season galore. Okay. So if you're going to a frocktail, this would be a good dress to wear to the frocktails, depending on what the theme would be. All right. Let's look at notions. So in terms of notions, like I mentioned, you will need one 22-inch invisible zipper. But once again, this is 32-31. All right. Let's move over to the next pattern. Next up is 32-32. 32-32, and I will be picking up this pattern. I don't care what y'all say. I love button-down shirts. We already talked about this. I have a whole video about it. Any video that I mentioned will be in the description box below. So open up the description box below and you can get to any video that I mentioned in any of my videos. Okay. So this is a Mrs. Oversized shirt. This comes in one pattern envelope, extra small to extra, extra large. It is a very loose fitting shirt with drop shoulders, concealed front button closure, and shaped hem. Now, view A has a wing collar and bib front for like a tuxedo style effect. View B and view C have a collar with collar band, front patch pockets, and cropped or full length variation. Now, in the photo you are seeing is a cotton shirting in white is what the model is wearing. Some of the fabric suggestion would be your broadcloth, your cotton blends, your cotton shirting, linen, poplin, just to name a few. This is an average to sew pattern, which I like that. Now, one thing that I do like about this one, what the model is wearing, that tuxedo style one, concealed button placket. I love that. I love this. Okay. So I am very interested in this one for sure. And this is the lineup right here. I would do all three views. Do one in a solid, one in a stripe, and then one in a print. Yes. Okay. This is 32-32. Let's move over to the next pattern. Next up is 32-33. This is a Mrs. Drape top in 3 lengths. In terms of sizing, one pattern envelope, extra small to extra, extra large. This is a drape loose fitting bias cut top, which features a fluid neckline and side pleat details. It's sleeveless with extended shoulders and a narrow hem, pullover style with no closure, including a multiple length variation. Now in the photos, what you are seeing is the fabric is a linen and cotton woven in white and gray barcode stripes. Okay. Some of the fabric suggestions will be your chemise, your crepe, georgette, just to name a few, linen blends, and rayon challis as well. This is an average to sew pattern. Now for me, I like what the model is wearing, which is view A because the longer view. I'm not interested in the shorter view. View B is okay, but I would just be interested in view A. That's just what I'm interested in. I like what the model is wearing for sure. I like that longer view there. You know, it covers your behind and all that good stuff. I like that. The floral would look cute, but I think view A is really what sells this pattern. You could also wear it just like the model is wearing with some slacks, with some heels. You good to go. You can even wear it with some jeans. That would be cute too. Let's look at the notion. So in terms of the notions, it looks like this is a no notion pattern. Did you hear what I said? No notions. So I'm just going to say, for the beginners, go ahead and get this pattern. Even though it's an average to sew, go ahead and get this pattern. Now, one thing that I mentioned that I forgot to show you guys was, of course, the number of pattern pieces. So let me stop here and go back for just a second. We're just going to trail back just a second to the pattern pieces for the previous patterns real quick. All right. So let's start off with 32-29. So in terms of the pattern pieces for 32-29, this is what we are dealing with for view A, B, and C. You're going to need 13 pattern pieces for all views there. All right. Moving over to 30-30 Mimi G pattern there. So for the pattern pieces for 30-30, you only have 5 pattern pieces for Mimi G pattern. Okay. 5 pattern pieces. Love it. Yes. Go ahead and pick a Mimi G pattern. Okay. The tit dress. 32-31. Okay. Now this pattern right here has quite a bit of pattern pieces, y'all. For all views, you're looking at 18 pattern pieces. Don't fall out. Just take your time. Okay. You're welcome. Next up, 32-33. 3233 is the button down shirt. So for the button down shirt, you're looking at quite a bit of pattern pieces, but I'm just going to say take your time. For view A, you're looking at about 11 pattern pieces for that one. View B, you're looking at roughly probably about the same, give or take. For all views, you're looking probably at roughly about 13 pattern pieces, just to be honest there. All right. And now moving up to a 3233, the last pattern that we looked at, you're looking at literally 4 pattern pieces and no notions. Okay. Say what? Say, huh? Yes, that's what we're looking at. So once again, this is 3233. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. Now, before we move over to the next pattern, I want to show you guys that this is a ready to wear, which is from Bloomingdale's. And this is the Veronica beats sleeveless top. That's very similar to 3233 for sure. It's in a medium gray. This was originally on sale for $278. It's now 40% off at $166.80. This is that ready to wear. If you use Klarna, you could, of course, purchase it for 4 interest-free payments of $41.70. You're welcome, but you could buy it, no notions, for the low. You're welcome. Okay. Moving on, you could also see a pattern that's very similar that you probably skipped over back in 2020, because I believe this pattern came out in 2020, if my memory serves me well. It's very similar to Simplicity 9230. Okay. This is one of the patterns you may want to write down, Simplicity 9230. And this is a pattern that came out way back in 2020 that's out of print if you look on simplicity.com, but you can potentially pick it up on Amazon, eBay, or Etsy if you are looking for this pattern. Now, in terms of the notions for this one, it is pretty much no notion. The only thing that you would pretty much need is 1 button with a shank for the back. All right. Once again, I just hit you up with a pattern that you could potentially get, which is Simplicity 9230. All right. Moving over to the other pattern that it's very similar to is Simplicity 9706. If you are interested in another pattern that you could potentially use similar, or if you just want to sew some blouses kind of similar to 3233, this is another pattern that you could potentially use, 9706. This is basically a top featuring a front knot detail with the pleats at the shoulder as well. It's average to sew, and you will need a invisible back zipper for this one, just so you know. And it ranged 2 pattern envelopes, 8 to 16 and 18 to 26. This is available on the Simplicity website, just so you know. All right. That is another one that you can potentially get. All right. And the last one I will share with you that's very similar is Vogue 8816. Now, this one is on sewingpatternheaven.com. Heaven, whichever way you want to pronounce it, for $6.49. Now, I want to say that I'm just mentioning this. I do not get credit or get paid for mentioning any of these websites. I want to say that up front. Now, first come, first serve. It is in stock for $6.49. If you are interested in this pattern, it's a run deal. Okay. 88 Vogue 8816 is another pattern. It's an easy to sew or Vogue pattern, easy option pattern, blouse, top, and tunics for misses with neckline and sleeve variation. This size is a size 6 to 14 for this one that's on sale. But it's very similar to the pattern that I just showed you. All right. But those are the patterns that's very similar to Simplicity 3233. And one last pattern, I know I just said one last pattern. It's very similar to this last pattern. Simplicity 3103. This one came out last season. I want to say it was summer of last year this pattern came out. And it's 3103. And this is like basically a fitted funnel neck top. Okay, you will need a invisible back zipper. View A is cut on the bias. So yeah, it's very similar to this one as well. It's average to sew. Boom. Very, very similar. You're welcome. 3103. We are done there. All right. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. All right. You're welcome. All right. Next up is 3234. This is the Mrs. Peplum shirt. Now, this comes in two pattern envelopes, 10 to 18 and 18 to 26. This is a loose fitting through the bust. This polished peplum shirt features a classic collar and a collar band, back yoke, and drop shoulders for an easy modern silhouette. Long sleeves include a continuous slap opening and a button cuff. Now, the front placket closes with buttons, basically a button placket. Shaping comes from the front waist darts and back waist pleats. Now, it's also creating a structured peplum finish with the white hem facing. So the hem at the bottom of the peplum is basically a hem facing instead of just kind of like turning it up. All right. Now the photos, the model is wearing a cotton shirting. Some of the fabric suggestions would be your broadcloth, your cotton shirting, your poplin, your rayon blends, just to name a few there. This is an average to sew pattern. I like this pattern. I will be picking this pattern up, just so you know. I am really interested in view C. I like the round collar instead of the pointed collar. I do like pointed collars, just to be honest with you, but I think for me, I like all views. I'm not going to even front, but I do like that round collar in view. I think that's view C. So I may end up doing view A and view C. I don't know, but I am going to be picking this pattern up, just so you know. Let's look at the notions. So in terms of notions for all view, you're going to need 9 half-inch buttons. All right. But once again, this is 3234. Now, in terms of ready to wear, this is from H&M, and this is basically peplum shirt. Regular price $24.99. It's on sale for $18.74. It's pretty much the same. Blue poplin shirt. They also have it in white if you are interested there. Okay. But yeah, this is ready to wear. You could also get a similar pattern. One of the similar patterns is an old pattern, McCall 6794. This pattern came out way back in 2013. I actually have this pattern. It's very similar to view D as in David or view B as in boy. So this pattern, it reminded me of this pattern when I saw this one. So once again, it's McCall 6795. Another pattern that it reminds me of is Simplicity 8297. It's what the model is wearing in view D right here, that peplum style shirt blouse, or whatever you want to call it. It reminded me of that pattern as well. It's on sale on ebay.com. $14.99 our best offer. Now, it does state that it's used, but always when you're looking at eBay, definitely go down and read the item description from the seller. Now, this says that it is pre-owned. However, it is uncut. There is writing on the envelope, so make sure you see the photos. So when you look at the photos, yes, there is writing on the envelope, but look at what the package looked like. Look at the detail. It is uncut and it is still folded. It still has the instructions there. So make sure you are doing your due diligence and looking at these photos and reading the instructions, or I should say description. Okay, before you purchase. You could also make an offer. If you do not want to pay $14.99, make that offer and see if you could get it at the low. We like low prices. Okay, keep it moving. All right, let's go ahead and move. Well, before I could do that, let's go and look at the pattern pieces. I almost keep forgetting to tell you guys the pattern pieces. Okay, so with the pattern pieces, let's go back to 3234 first. All right. So 3234 total pattern pieces is 14 pattern pieces total for A, B, and C for that one. And then 32, that's 3234. Sorry about that. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at the next pattern. All right. Well, let's go back to 3234. So with 3234, I like 3234. 3234. I'm going to be picking this one up, but I'm just letting you know. 32, 34. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. Next pattern is 32, 35, which is the Mrs. Wrap midi skirt. And for this one, it comes in 2 pattern envelopes, 6 to 18 and 14 to 26. Now, this is a soft draped wrap skirt, blend movement and structure for a modern feminine silhouette. Now, View A features a full skirt with contrast, the rickrack trim. View B is basically the plain view without the trim, and then View C has that sash, okay? So from the photo, you have like a denim. She's wearing a 6-ounce denim. Some of the fabric suggestions would be your cotton blends, your chambray, your Ramiah and challis, your linen, just to name a few there. This is an average to sew pattern, okay? Of course, I've seen it in ready to wear, and I'm going to share that with you. Now, for me, I do not like View. Well, I'm not going to say I don't like it. It's very cute on the model, but I would not be making View A because I'm not a fan of the rickrack. For me, I have made this pattern before. It's a simplicity pattern that I made before, and I'm going to share that with you. But I would make View B and View C, but I would probably leave this pattern on the shelf because I have the simplicity pattern, 8606. I'm going to share that with you. Well, I just shared it with you, okay? But I have that pattern, and it's very similar to that pattern that I just shared with you here. And I'm going to show that to you guys here on the screen. It's very similar to that pattern. It's pretty much the same pattern, all right? But let's go ahead and look at the notions, all right, for this pattern. So in terms of the notions for A, B, and C, you're going to need 2 3/4 inch buttons. If you are doing View A, you're going to need rickrack. Other than that, that's all the notions you're going to need. Once again, this is an average to sew pattern. In terms of the ready to wear, you can see this at Lena Hashik. I'm hoping I'm saying that right, but it's a bleached denim. It's in pounds, 550 pounds. This is super cute, okay? With the top and everything, super, super cute, right? But with the rickrack, it's just not for me, okay? But it's super cute on her, for sure, all right? Now let's talk about what pattern it reminds me of, all right? So in terms of the pattern that it reminds me of, like I told you, it reminds me of Simplicity 8606. I have made this pattern a long time ago. I made it in an Ankara fabric. Of course, I no longer have it in my in my closet, but I have the pattern in my stash, but I no longer have the skirt in my closet, okay? Which means I need to make another one. We ain't gonna talk about that, okay? We're not talking about that. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk and look at the pattern pieces, all right? So in terms of the pattern pieces for this one, for the skirt, if you are doing View A, you're going to need 8 pattern pieces. View B, you're going to need 8 pattern pieces. And then View C, you're going to need 9 pattern pieces for this one. Once again, it's 32, 35. Love it, okay? 32, 35. Moving over to the next one is 32, 36, which I am picking up this pattern. It is a Mrs. White and balloon leg pants and shorts. I am here for View B, the pants. It reminds me of Jasmine from Aladdin, these balloon pants. Love them, okay? So in terms of sizing, it's 8 to 18 and 16 to 26, 2 pattern envelopes, of course. And it's high-waisted pants, which features a front zipper closure, fake jean, pockets, shaped front and back hip yoke, side seam pockets, and a voluminous wide leg silhouette. All right. Now, View A is your floor length with stitch hem. View B and View C is balloon pants and shorts with elasticated hem and length variation. Now, what you see that the model is wearing is a imported cotton in olive green. And then some of the fabric suggestions would be your chambray, your cotton blends, your lightweight denim, linen, poplin, just to name a few. This would be average to sew. All right. I'm interested in View B, honestly. I need more than 1 pair of these pants. I need at least 2. I think I would make this pattern at least 2 times. I like the pink, but I like that olive green for sure. Olive green, okay, would be super cute in this pattern. I think so. Yes, I think I need at least 2 pairs. All right. Now the only thing that I could see could be a turnoff is like the way these pants is made. It looks like you got something stuck up your bootay. But I could deal with that simply because this is cute. This is cute. This is right up my alley. I'm just saying. But we'll see. Let's look at the notions, by the way. For all views A, B, and C, you're going to need a 7-inch all-purpose, not invisible, all-purpose or exposed zipper, and you're going to need 1 3/4 inch buttons. If you are doing view B or view C, you're going to need some elastic. That's for the bottom, for the casing for your legs. All right, to make it elasticated. Let's look at ready to wear. So in terms of ready to wear, this is Shop Akira, which is the Lucky for You balloon pants. That's what it reminds me of. $59.90. If you do not want to make them, you could go ahead and buy them in the 1X. That's the only thing that's left. You can also use Klarna, $20 a month, and pay $59.90. Okay? Super duper cute. It is so cute. And oh, by the way, you could go ahead and sew these pants and make you a little corset. You could use Mimi G pattern to make that corset. I just gave you an idea. You're welcome. All right, let's look at let's go ahead and look at the pattern pieces. How about that? All right, so for this pattern, 32-36, let's look at the pattern pieces. So in terms of pattern pieces for view A, about 12 pattern pieces. For view B, 13 pattern pieces. And then view C, all the pattern pieces, 14 for view C. Not too bad, but I'm going to definitely say take your time. All right. Once again, it's 32-36. Also, it reminds me of another pattern, which Mimi G did a sew along to a little while ago, a couple of years ago. It is McCall's 82-92 view A, I believe. It reminds me of that pattern that she did. But it's Mrs. Shorts and Pants pattern, very similar to this as well. So if you have that pattern, you can make, both patterns, 32-36 and this pattern. Okay, you're welcome. It also reminds me of a New Look pattern, and that New Look pattern is New Look 6756. Just because it's white legs. It's Mrs. Shorts and Pants pattern. This one is easy to sew, and it's loose fitting shorts and white leg pants too. Have that front waistband and pleats. I thought about this pattern as well. That would be something similar that you could sew up as well. All right. But this is New Look 6756. All right. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. Super simple skirt. 32-37 is a Mrs. skirt in 3 lengths. This comes in 2 pattern envelopes, 6-18 and 14-26. This is a full gathered skirt. It has a bias cut yoke, front and back cut on the cross grain. The skirt features side seam pockets and an invisible back zipper. Now the length variation included, all right, but this skirt sits about 1 inch below your natural waist. The fabric used in this photo is basically a Trisco, right? Trisco. Some of the fabric suggestions would be your chambray, cotton blend, linen, poplin, just to name a few there. This happens to be an average to sew pattern. But it also reminds me of a pattern that I sewn before and have a sew along for it. I don't remember the pattern number, but if I remember, I'll drop it in the description box below. Any video that I mention will be in the description box below. Open it up so you're able to see it. All right. But yes, let's go ahead and look at the notions for this pattern. All right. So in terms of notion, the only notion that you're going to need is 1 7-inch invisible zipper, and that's for the back of the skirt. Outside of that, that's it. All right. But once again, it's 32-37. Let's go ahead and look at the pattern pieces for this pattern. So in terms of pattern pieces for this pattern, super simple. 7 pattern pieces for all views, A, B, and C. You're only going to need 7 pattern pieces. That's pretty good. That's not too bad, honestly, for an average to sew pattern. You know what I mean? So this is 32-37. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. Next up is Mimi G. It's a Mrs. Vest top and shorts pattern. Now, in terms of sizing, 2 pattern envelopes, 10 to 18 and 18 to 26. This is a structured vest top paired with easy fit shorts. It delivers a look that's sharp but breezy. Now, it is a lined vest with self strap. It has a front button opening and tie details with beads. The shorts are flowy with front pleats. It has side pockets, back darts, front fly zipper, and hook and bar closure. Now, it's perfect for layering over tanks or wearing solo when the heat rises as well. Now, Mimi decided to do this in a tinsel twill. Some of the fabric suggestions would be your cotton blends, your crepe, your double georgette, linen blends, just to name a few. Insert other fabrics there. This is an average to sew pattern as well. It's just the vest and the shorts. Super cute. But I may decide to pick this one up. There will be a sew along for this one on probably Simplicity and Mimi G's channel. Just stay locked and tuned for those sew alongs whenever they drop. Okay. Let's look at the notions. So in terms of notions for the vest, you need 5/8 inch buttons and decorative beads for the tie ends. In terms of view B, the shorts, you need 1/7 inch zipper and 1/5/8 inch buttons and a hook and bar closure there. All right. Now, in terms of ready to wear for this pattern, okay. So in terms of ready to wear, from Lovely Grace Boutique, $55. You could get the sleeveless button front vest. And then she has the shorts. I didn't see the shorts, the price of the shorts, but she used a 97% cotton, 3% spandex. Pretty much the same thing. All right. There's small, medium, large left, if that's what you're interested in. But this is super cute. Super cute. All right. But yeah, let's look at the pattern pieces. All right. So in terms of the pattern pieces for 3238 Mimi G pattern, for the vest, quite a bit of pattern pieces for a vest. It's 12 pattern pieces. And then for the shorts, you're looking at 6 pattern pieces. All right. But once again, this pattern is 3238. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. Next up is 3239. 3239, you might as well say this is loungewear. This is our work from home wear. This is Mrs. and Women's draped asymmetrical top and pull on pants. Now, it comes in 3 pattern envelopes, so very size inclusive. 10 to 20, 22W to 32W, and 28W to 38W. So this is effortless drape and modern proportion. Define this fluid set. All right. So it's an asymmetrical pullover top, features softly draped neckline, boat neck, and drop shoulders. So the pants are wide leg pull-on pants. It have front pleats, elasticated waistband, and side seam pockets as well. So the fabric uses tinsel twill in a pink. Super cute, y'all. All right. Average to sew. Some of the fabric suggestions will be your crepe, your lightweight linen, rayon blends, silk blends, just to name a few. I actually think the pattern that we talked about with the bias cut asymmetrical, well, not asymmetrical, but the bias cut top that we talked about earlier, you could use this and then just use some pull-on pants, or you could just use this pattern as well. I think this pattern is super cute. I will be picking this pattern up, y'all, just for some loungy pants. I just think it's cute. Yes, I know I could just use 2 different patterns, but I'll put it like this. I would only pick this pattern up if it's at a good price. If it's not at a good price, then I'm not picking it up. It's super simple as that, okay? If it's not at a good price, I'm not picking it up. It has to be at a good price for me to pick this pattern up, because I have other patterns that I could definitely pick up, all right? Let's look at notions. So in terms of notions, for view A is a no notion pattern. And then for view B and C, the only thing you're going to need is elastic. So this pattern is not only no notion for view A, this is also an elastic only pattern, which I also talked about elastic only patterns. I actually have 3 videos, which I'll drop in the description box. Open it up so you're able to see those 3 videos that talk about elastic only patterns. If you're a beginner and you only want to use elastic only, I have a video that features over 85, I believe 85 different patterns that you can use that only features elastic only patterns. All right. You're welcome. So make sure you're opening up that description box so you can see additional videos on the channel that you could go to. All right. Moving over to the next pattern. Well, before I do that, let's look at the pattern pieces. I almost keep forgetting to tell you guys the pattern pieces. So in terms of the pattern pieces for view A, it's 4 pattern pieces, and then view B or view C, no matter if you're doing the pants or the long pants or the gachos or longer shorts, whichever one you want to call, it is 6 pattern pieces. All right. But once again, it's $32.39. Moving over to the next one, $32.40. $32.40 is Mrs. Sleep Set. I've seen this in ready to wear. Also, and we'll get there. This pattern is 1 pattern envelope, extra small to extra large. It is an easy to sew pattern. Nice. It's a matching set. Features a classic gingham print with thoughtful details like a scallop collar, tie accents, or piping. All right. So for the photo, they used a blue and white gingham print. In terms of fabric suggestions, cotton blends, cotton lawn, gingham, linen blends, just to name a few. Like I mentioned, this is easy to sew. I like view B, but I also like view D. I don't like the scallops, to be honest with you, but that's just the details that they give you for this pattern. So you have to be pretty much willing to do the scallop if you're going to do this pattern. Okay. Yes. Even though I'm not a fan of it, I do like this pattern. All right, let's look at the notions. So in terms of the notions, you're going to need some bias tape, some buttons for that, some elastic, and some piping and ribbon. All right, so be prepared to go in with your list of notions. All right, let's look at the ready to wear. So in terms of ready to wear, this is pajama. And this is basically a Penelope sleep set, pants and top in gingham, and it's pretty much in gingham navy, just like you just see the pattern. You're welcome. All right, yeah, so it's $109, but you can make it for the low, you know, by just using Simplicity 3240. All right, so that's what we have. Let's look at the pattern pieces. So in terms of pattern pieces for 3240, for view A or B, for view A, I'll start with view A, 7 pattern pieces, and view B, you're looking at 8 pattern pieces. I'm sorry, 9 pattern pieces. And then if you are doing view C or view D, the shorts or the pair of pants, you are looking at roughly about 7 pattern pieces. All right. But once again, this pattern is 3240. Moving over to the next one, 3241. 3241 is the unisex baseball top. Love it. I am picking this pattern up for sure. So far, it's about 4 patterns I'm going to pick up total. This is a 1 pattern envelope, extra small to extra large. This is a athletic inspired denim baseball shirt, not shorts, shirt. Okay. It's V-neck style with a button down front and raglan sleeves with or without the contrast. The sleeves have piping sleeve bands with top stitching. Now what you see in the photo is denim. That's what they're wearing, white denim and regular denim. Some of the fabric suggestions will be your cotton blend, double knit, lightweight denim, lightweight stretch, woven, just to name a few. They mark this as easy to sew, but when buttons are involved, it's not as easy to sew as they mention. But, you know, you'll be the judge of that for sure. All right. I like how they style the models for sure with just some jeans. And I like that for them. Okay. But let's look at the notions. So in terms of the notions for both views, you're going to need 4 5/8 inch buttons and some piping. That's pretty much it. All right. Super simple for this one, all right? Let's go ahead and look at the pattern pieces. So in terms of pattern pieces for this one, you're only going to need 6 pattern pieces to make this unisex baseball style jersey or shirt. That's it. 6 pattern pieces. Say what? Say, huh? Yes, I said it. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. All right, so now we're going to jumping into 3246. We are now looking at the Jessica McClintock patterns. All right, now I'm just going to kind of skim through these because, you know, these are pretty much from the archives. These are authentic reproduction vintage patterns. All right, moving right along. First one is 3246. This is a 1980 Mrs. and Mrs. Petit line dress. It's by JMC, which is Jessica McClintock. When I say JMC, all right. Vintage Simplicity 1980s pattern is a Mrs. line dress pattern. The dress with skirt gathered to fit the princess scene bodice. It has shaped waistline and back zipper closure. Okay, so view 1, what the model is wearing is a tiered skirt with a back slit, and then view 2 has lace trim. That's the only difference. Okay, but that's what it looks like. And in terms of the fabric, champagne, taffeta, and then some of the fabric suggestions you can see there: crepe back satin, taffeta, just to name a few. But this is basically from the archives. As you can see, they put some on a model. You know, that's what they did. All right. In terms of notions, you're going to need a 14-inch exposed zipper. You're going to need some boning to keep your girls up. You're going to need some lace trim. You're going to need all the things for this dress. All right. Once again, it's 3246. Let's go ahead and move into, I don't think you need to know the pattern pieces unless you're actually purchasing this. And of course, y'all know I'm going to skip over Jessica McClintock's patterns. I'm not going to purchase them. But when it comes to the pattern pieces, just know you're going to need a lot of pattern pieces for this one. And I'm going to skip over the pattern pieces for these only because it's kind of hard to kind of see them because this was written back in the older times, you know, and not how we see the pattern pieces today. All right. So I'm going to skip on showing you guys the number of pattern pieces for these Jessica patterns. All right. Next up is 3247, which is Jeannie Sachs pattern, or they say it's Jessica McClintock pattern, however you want to call it. Okay. But this is a Mrs. and Petite dress, vintage from the 1980s. The dress with back zipper has a full skirt gathered into the fitted self-line bodice at shaped below waistline seam. All right. So once again, it's another one of those patterns that's average to sew. Super cute. I like it. They styled this one pretty good. This would be good for prom, graduation. I mean, even if you're attending a wedding event, this pattern would be good for that as well. All right. In terms of the notions, of course, you're going to need a 14-inch exposed zipper, some boning, hook and eye closure, some lace. You're going to need all the things for this one. All right. Once again, it's 3247. Moving over to the next one is 3248. Another Jessica JMC pattern. This is from the 1990s, and this is the Mrs. and Mrs. Petite dress in 2 lengths. This one is dressed as fitted line dress and the seam bodice and skirt gathered at the shaped waistline. It has pleats off the shoulder collar, fabric rose, and a center back zipper for this one. All right. I like this one, but I'm leaving it on the shelf. This is an average to sew pattern as well. They made the model in a lavender, which I think is so super duper cute, if I do say so myself. All right. Let's go ahead and look at the notions. So in terms of the notions for this pattern, you're going to need a zipper, a 20-inch zipper, hook and eye closure, some boning, and some elastic. That's pretty much it. Once again, this is 3248. Moving over to the next one is 3249. This is a 1990 Mrs. and Petite 2-piece dress. This one features a line bone buster with princess seam, shoulder straps, and a plunge neckline with 2 cross straps and back buttons. All right. So the buster has a lace overlay, and then the full skirt A and B are gathered at the waistband with a back zipper and attached to a tulle petticoat. So this is a long skirt. View A is a long skirt as well. All right. So they give you like fabric suggestions and everything. Just make sure you read that. Once again, this is an average to sew, so don't steer away from these average to sew patterns. That's what the instructions is there to do, is to help you. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. All right. Next up is 3250. 3250, once again, is a no, this is not a JMC pattern. My bad. This is just a 1950s vintage pattern. And this is a 1950s Mrs. Dress and reversible bolero. Okay. 2 pattern envelopes, 10 to 18 and 18 to 26. This is pulled out from the archives. You guys already know that. I don't need to say that. So this is a fitted bodice, features a novel neckline and short kimono type sleeves that finish with pointed cuffs, excuse me. The full skirt is 4-gored. The short bolero has a 2-button front, closing, and 3/4 kimono type sleeves. All right. And then they have different views and all that good stuff. This is an average to sew pattern as well. And I like this one. In terms of the notions for this one, you will need a 12-inch exposed zipper for this. And you can use some round shoulder pads if you choose to. Once again, it's 3250. Moving over to the next one is 3251, another vintage pattern. It's a 1950 Mrs. Dolman sleeve dress. The sleeves are cut in one bodice with the bodice front and back. The back bodice is gathered to fit the pointed yoke. The collar and cuffs are below. Elbow length sleeves are pointed as well. So it is what it is. Back from the archives, of course, it's 2 pattern envelopes, 10 to 18 and 16 to 24. This is a easy to sew pattern, so they say, but you got to be the judge of that yourself. All right. Once again, this is 3251. Moving over to the next pattern, 3252, another vintage pattern from the 1950s. It's a Mrs. Blouse. In terms of sizing, 10 to 18 and 18 to 26 on the second pattern envelope. And all views have a V-shaped neckline, front and back. View A has a roll of self-bias trim and bow at the neckline. And then view 2, right, which is what you see, the blue, neckline is scallop and trimmed with rows of ribbon and bow. All right. Very nice top, but of course your girl is skipping over it as well. All right. Let's go ahead and move over to the next one. Next up is 3253. This once again is a reproduction pattern. It's a 1960 Mrs. Dress pattern. This is a classic dress. It features it features a diagonal. I can't even talk today, so bear with me because it is late. It's past 11 o'clock, y'all, but I'm trying to get this out to you guys, so bear with me right quick. Well, we're stumbling a lot, but we're going to pick ourselves back up, okay? All right, so this is a diagonal seaming, a raised neckline, back zipper, optional top stitching with button trim. Now, view A or view 1 and 2 have short set and sleeve. View 2 includes the contrasting lower front and back section plus a left sleeve. Now, if you notice, left sleeve is just that contrast is what it's talking about. All right. And then view 3, which is the black and white, is sleeveless dress with contrasting lower front, okay, and back sections for that one. All right. Now, in terms of the fabric, you can use a cotton, double knit, cotton and blends, crepe, lightweight wools and blends, linen, all of the things. All right. It's rated as easy to sew. Okay. Easy to sew. Love it. Once again, this is $32.53. Moving over to the next pattern is $32.54. It's a 1970s Mrs. shirt dress in 2 lengths. Now this is pleated, the pleated short or long dress with front button closing. It has a front yoke, shirt type collar, long set-in sleeves gathered to button cuffs, self fabric tie belt, and top stitching trim. This is an average to sew pattern for sure. I like it for sure, but I'm not going to be picking it up. It's going to stay on a shelf. All right. Once again, it's $32.54. Moving over to the next one is $32.55. Now, this is where we get into the bag pattern. And this is basically a slouchy oversized tote. I like this one. It's easy to sew. I'm very interested in doing 2, possibly 3 of these. I'm interested in doing view A, view C, and view D. All 3 of these, and I might make it with like one of the collections. We don't know. We will see, because it's easy to sew. So we will definitely see what I'll do with this. But I like this slouchy oversized tote. Okay. But it's a lined tote. It has front and back seaming, shoulder straps, foam interfacing for light structure. It holds everything. All right. But yeah, I like this for sure. Once again, this is $32.55. And let's go ahead and move over to the last pattern, being $32.56. This is a backpack and drawstring bag. It comes in 1 size for sure. It's the easy to sew backpack and tote, features contrast pockets and bias tape finish. The drawstrings run through contrast fabric casing, including shoulder straps. Okay. Trapezoid shaped backpack. It has oversized shaped pockets and webbing drawstring, just so you know that as well. Just to summarize it, it's easy to sew. The fabric that you can use is basically arcade, classic blossom, and silver blue. View B that they use is upholstery fabric, and then view C is the floral upholstery brocade jacquard fabric. So that's what they used in the photo. It's mentioned as easy to sew. So yeah, just follow the instructions and you'll be good to go for this one. All right. Well, you guys, we came to the end of this video. That is it for all the patterns that literally just dropped today with Simplicity. Let me know in the comments which ones were your favorite. All right, you guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If this video was educational, inspiring, and fun, you guys already know what to do. Give your girls a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Stay tuned for my next video, as I'm going to be sharing with you guys a pattern haul. Yes, I know it's late, but better late than never. Okay, I'm going to share the 6 patterns that I picked up a couple of weeks ago and how I'm going to be using these patterns coming up, all 6 of them, okay? Coming up as part of, y'all already know, one of the wardrobes that I shared with you guys in the Venn diagram, the core and seasonal, the classic 10, and the transitional wardrobe. All the videos will be in the link in the description box below if you're interested. And I also have, of course, the PDF if you're interested in purchasing them off my 4th wall. It'll be linked in the description box below as well. All right, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully posted tomorrow, so stay tuned for that as well. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, keep going, and definitely keep sewing. Until next time, peace.